So I've been asked in the past from some comments about what do I think about death, or what do I think about life? What do I think happens after you die? And what this whole life experience is about. Now, I have my own thoughts about it. Of course, there's all, everyone has their own thoughts, and these are my opinions. So I can only explain it with metaphor, and this is going to be my metaphor or analogy. But imagine that you have a pond, and this pond is very, very still. Now, imagine it's just like a flat, mirror pond, and a rock drops into the center of the pond. Now, when this rock hits, it creates all these little individual waves, and it starts off with the first generation of waves, and then it continues all the way until the last generation of waves. Now, from the beginning, the wave is pretty large, and then it ends up towards the end being very small, and then it whittles away. Now imagine that the center of this pond, once it gets waved, a wave starts in the beginning, it starts off strong, and then and starts going towards the end of the wave's life, and towards the inevitable edge of the pond, then all of a sudden it gets very small and weak, and it's not as vibrant or as vitalized as the beginning of the wave, and this could account for age. So it starts from the beginning, and then it ages as it begins, and it degrades. It starts to dissolve back into the pond itself. Now we might see each individual wave as an individual wave, but we all know that individual wave is part of the pond itself. It's always been the pond. It's just been an expression of the pond because it was impacted by whatever object started off the wave. And for me, I think a lot of people have forgotten that we are all part of the pond. And for me, the pond is the universe. So something tapped the universe. Before the universe was active, it was completely still. And then all of a sudden, it gets impacted by whatever it is. The rock could have been anything. I mean, it could have been itself. It could have been the universe itself. Just all of a sudden, collapsed, and then it created this outward wave of life, and then this wave of life became very it becomes very, very complex, and there's all these little complexities, and all of a sudden it creates waves. Well, the thing that's different about the universe and my wave theory is that for me, the pond is only a part of life. It's not a part of the universe. The universe, it'll expand as much as it will. I mean, it's it is an infinite universe, and for us as human beings, we're simply just one. Oh, let's get stuck right here. But we're just one of these waves in this pond theory I have. Well, pond analogy I have. And for me, the pond makes the most sense because all it is we are already part of the pond. We're all individual waves, and we're all part of the pond. So all that happens is we go back to being exactly what we were before we were alive. Before something impacted, our pond, the pond of us, the pond of GFXLab, the pond of whoever you are. You're an individual pond in this huge park or whatever, and so you get impacted, and then you start your life, and then all of a sudden you go back to the source. You go back to being a part of the pond. Now imagine, since there's not just individual people, there's millions and millions of people. Imagine there's an ocean, and imagine that the ocean has multiple drops of maybe it rains or something, and there's just thousands upon thousands of waves, and each wave is hitting each other and interacting with each other, bouncing off of each other. Some waves catch on to other waves, and then those waves make, massive tsunamis of people, and they all become this one movement. And for me, those are countries. And imagine and imagine all these waves intersecting with each other. Sometimes they conflict with each other, so their two waves cancel out each other. I mean, there's so many ways that this analogy could go to help out, help understand what I'm talking about. And I think it's awesome that that we have the ability to think about these things, think about just life in general. And for me, that's my analogy for life. So whenever we die, all we do is return to what we were before, complete stillness. We return to the source. Whatever that is, we can leave that up to imagination. Peace out. God damn, girl, you got a fat ass.